climate-smart public works, and 100,000 households will benefit from enhanced livelihood support and productive grants. Backed by an investment of $300 million from the government of Tanzania, the International Development Association, and development partners, the program will be initially implemented across 100 project area authorities. The program is built around three integrated components. The first component focuses on promoting resilience and economic inclusion through productive cash transfers, basic economic inclusion, enhanced economic inclusion, and climate-smart public works. The second component focuses on building adaptive social protection systems through digital modernization, institutional strengthening, technical support systems, and adaptive social protection mechanisms. The third component focuses on program management, including monitoring and evaluation, procurement and financial management, institutional communication, stakeholder engagement, and coordination and implementation support. Cash transfers remain a critical pathway to dignity. They help protect households while building human capital through improved household consumption, savings and investment, child well-being, resilience to shocks, health and nutrition, and participation in education. Cash transfers provide fixed transfers, direct support transfers, disability grants, and variable human capital development transfers that support households with children, pregnant women, and infants. Beyond social assistance, economic inclusion interventions are helping beneficiary households move from survival to opportunity. These interventions support better jobs, higher incomes, self-employment, skills development, financial inclusion, and entrepreneurship. Through basic economic inclusion and enhanced economic inclusion packages, households gain opportunities to strengthen livelihoods and create sustainable sources of income. Special attention is also given to youth empowerment. Young people aged 15 to 35 receive tailored support through entrepreneurship training, vocational skills linkages, and productive grants that help them pursue economic opportunities. Climate-smart public works are another important pillar of PSSN3. These initiatives provide temporary employment, strengthen community resilience, support environmental restoration, and promote skills development. The program aims to improve access to income-earning opportunities and socio-economic services while enhancing and protecting human capital. The intervention supports vulnerable households during lean agricultural seasons, reduce climate vulnerability, promote nutrition-sensitive actions, and encourage community participation. Their design is gender-sensitive, incorporating women's participation, childcare considerations, and inclusive community planning. PSSN3 also embraces digital transformation. Modern social protection delivery systems now integrate digital targeting systems, electronic payments, geospatial verification, adaptive data systems, and real-time accountability mechanisms. These innovations improve efficiency, transparency, accuracy, inclusion, and responsiveness during shocks and crises. The vision is to build an adaptive social protection system capable of responding effectively to future economic and climate challenges. Tanzania's experience offers important lessons for Africa and the world. It demonstrates that social protection can drive economic participation, communities can transition from vulnerability to resilience, women-centered approaches accelerate well-being outcomes, adaptive systems strengthen national resilience, and integrated approaches create sustainable impact. The lesson is clear. Social protection systems must move beyond short-term assistance and become platforms for inclusive growth and human development. Community participation and ownership remain central to TASAF's approach. The model is rooted in participation, local ownership, transparency, and accountability. Communities actively identify vulnerable households, validate beneficiaries, participate in public works, and monitor implementation. This reinforces a powerful truth. Sustainable development is strongest when communities become active partners in transformation. Build energy. As PSSM3 moves forward, its thematic priorities include promoting resilience through adaptive safety nets, expanding economic inclusion opportunities, strengthening climate resilience, deepening community participation, integrating social protection with other sectors, and enhancing sustainability and long-term impact. The road ahead is clear. PSSM3 marks a new generation of social protection in Tanzania. More adaptive, more inclusive, more resilient, more digitally enabled, and more people-centered. Together, these efforts are helping build a Tanzania where no one is left behind and where every citizen has the opportunity to live with dignity, resilience, and hope for a better future.
So that's the end of the presentation, and from the presentation, as you saw, TASAF has got a number of things starting with TASAF 1, which TASAF 1, the TASAF 2, then TASAF 2, which focus mainly on the infrastructure development in the sectors of education and health. And then after that, we went to TASAF 3, which now started involving social protection program, which the program started in 2012 up to 2025, which took 13 years. And phase 1 started from 20, PSSM1, productive social safety net started from 2012 to 2019, and then 2020 to 2025, last time PSSM2, 2029. For sure, you've heard about the PSSM3. PSSM3 is a new program that has been approved actually by the government of Tanzania. And you saw the figure there, it costs about $300 million, and it's expected to start towards the end of this month or early next month. And from the presentation, you saw how practical we are. For sure, from morning, we've been hearing about the research findings, we've been hearing a lot of studies being done, but for us, we are trying to put things into action. To add to that, may I take this opportunity to welcome one of the TASAF beneficiaries who will demonstrate on how she has been able to benefit from TASAF, and for sure you will be effective.
Good evening. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Lightness Masano, a proud beneficiary of Tanzania Social Fund. You may get some questions with my appearance. How can I call myself a beneficiary? Let me stand here before I start. Let me stand so you can look at me. How do I look now? It's a testimony, a living testimony, right? As I said earlier, I'm a proud beneficiary of Tanzania Social Fund. I've been raised by a single mother. Actually, my father died when we were still young. I have 2 girls, and we've been raised by a single mother since I was in standard 3 up to 2015. My mother was traveling. It was difficult even for 1 year per day. And we were still young, and she was struggling, and to the point that the community mother was given some financial grants on which she started the business of selling vegetables, and uh, from there, our head changed. When it was easy for us to go to school as other children, that other basic needs, and also apart from that, even our status, our family status in the community changed up to the time that everyone wanted to bring that at my wife. Okay. From there, our life was good until 2019 when my mother died, and I'm the fifth child, the eldest, and I was form 5, still studying at advanced level with no person to take care of us, and we are doing. It was difficult. And I almost dropped out from school, but that's what gave me hope. And they told me that they will continue to grant us with financial support when needed so that we can start without worry. So we shifted to our grandparents, and from there everything went well until I finished school. Even after graduating at advanced level, it was difficult to obtain the basic needs required for joining the university. But through TASA, I made this all because TASA has the partnership with the Higher Education Students Loan Board, on which the students within the beneficiary's household are recommended as letters as a recognition letter to students loan board, so they can qualify to obtain 100% loan. So through that partnership, I was able to start and graduate with bachelor degree in development studies from the University of Dodoma in 2023, and my two youngs, one is graduating this year through the help of TASA, is graduating this July from the University of Dodoma, and our last one has graduated at advanced level this year May, and we are waiting for results so as he can join the higher education by October. So just standing in front of you is a proof that the government of Tanzania is doing the job of empowering the poor households, the vulnerable groups, through Tanzania Social Action Fund. Everything is vivid and real. From my experience, from my fellow beneficiaries, whom I've been meeting them in different community sessions, everyone has his or her own testimony about what the government is doing. Even if you go out there, you'll find other beneficiaries from different regions with their goods, and they can tell you their life story, how the life was before TASA and how the life is right now. So thank you so much to the government of Tanzania, and thank you so much for the Tanzania Social Action Fund for the good work, and thank you all for letting me have this presentation in front of you.
Without having more work, you can see how practical we are implementing the kind of conversation you are sharing with us, and this is practical on the ground. With that, I thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know that time is gone, so I'm sure that something from us.
Kazi na utu, tunasonga mbele. Kazi na utu, nadhani tumeona vivid example
kazi na utu tunafanyaje kazi, serikali yetu tunafanya kazi sana. Basi kama alivyosema, we are coming to the end of our day. It's been a long day, but thank you very much for your patience, your indulgence, especially those of you who have spent your bandwidth to be with us the whole day. Over 300 people, active participants, 800 viewing on YouTube. It is not a small thing, and we don't take it lightly as something fun. My role here is just to try and wind up the day with a few takeaway points, and I'll just go very quickly. I am not a social scientist, so I'm just going to tell you what I took away from the session this morning and for what I was able to glean this afternoon. From Professor Baxi, in talking about digital transformation, she gave us 4 conditions. What do we need to do? Meaningful access so that we get public value out of using digital tools. We need human capital and agency. We need to have sustainable infrastructure and trustworthy governance. So we need to have those safeguards that ensure as we use the technology, we benefit it as a society. From Professor Kamanzi, who was talking about this changing world order, he gave us a new opportunity, which is probably not so new, but how do we construct it? The use of Ubuntu as an alternative world order, and how does that really speak to the humanity of each and every one of us, but bringing justice, restoration, stewardship, compassion, and having constructive dialogue. So he deconstructed and asked us to reconstruct. Professor Yona came to us with the responsible use of AI. I think all of us are using it in one way or another. And he said, be responsible, do not panic. Those of us who are in my generation and higher, and those of us entering, we should not panic, because we can build capacity, we can actually take advantage of the technology, because it is how we use it. He talked about leapfrogging, he talked about the leopard model, and what I liked most was really the basket approach. What do we learn? What is actually us? I think those 2 aspects of those the bucket model, is very, very important. What is really me, and what do I learn, and how do I utilize that? Or how do I show up in that respect? When Professor Chukwuemeka, I think what I took away from it, because fortunately I've been in the space of leadership, that it is a challenging exercise to restructure. And linking that back to what Professor Kamanzi was talking about, then how do we introduce a new kind of world order, a new kind of thinking, but also do it from the organizational perspective? And then he gave us the do's and don'ts, but also told us what we should be conscious of. Okay? Professor Jaka from Hungary talked about migration. I know some of us move for work, we come back, we go, and we have different reasons for doing this, but what are the dynamics? How do we go to these different destinations? And she gave us a number of solutions of how do we manage this brain drain, some of them call it brain drain or migration. We need to coordinate internationally. What are the standards that we look at? How do we treat people who go away? How do we treat those who come to our country? And how do we provide them with the requisite social protection nets that are needed? So mobility should be compatible with dignity, fairness, and social protection. Exactly what TASAP is doing, making sure that all of us are protected. Professor Mandanda came to us with a gender parity discussion, giving us very critical examples around the globe, especially in Africa, what is needed, where we see women and how they perform. But he comes to us with a conceptual framework that really looks at agency, how relations matter, and what are the underlying structures that sometimes we do not really speak to. And he gave us the examples from the different countries, and I thought that was very rich. In the afternoon, after lunch, we had the presentations, which were really a marathon, I have to admit, 10 minutes or even less than 10 minutes. That was a super marathon, and commendations to every one of the presenters who gave their time and put the work into making those presentations. I clustered them, as I walked around the room, I clustered them into six different categories. There was a lot of talk around health, and really how do we mentally and physically, what were the roles of violence, mental health, substance abuse, and also maternal issues where parental, especially the father role in maternal issues were presented. There was a lot of conversation around workspace, how do we motivate our employees, what happens post-employment, those of us who are going into retirement, what happens, how how are we treated? What are the kind of challenges that we're in there? And also around business. And I really like this part because we have been talking about how do we link industry, academia, and government. And so a good thing with, an insightful thing that also is good to hear that even in the social workspace you're talking about is the circular economy. What are the opportunities around that? Because as Africa, this is really one of our strong key economic drivers that we can take advantage of. Also in this space of business, you talked about financial technology and how that either includes or excludes us, and also how we access loans and where in terms of gender, some of us are probably sidelined. The whole concept of society was the fourth cluster that I found in terms of social cultural concerns. How do we transform? How do we parent? What are the safety nets available? And then governance, which is critical. And I think even Professor Yona really emphasized this. Leadership is what is going to get us to the next level. And that's why that bucket, that bottom bucket, who you are, each and every one of us is a leader, and you need to show that leadership and show up as those leaders. And so in that also there was talk about how innovation can actually drive and inform and inspire leaders. And of course, technology. I think technology cuts across all these different aspects. So these are really just a snapshot of at least what I took away, and I'm a scientist, so I'm sure you all took away a lot more than I did. What I liked about the whole setup of today was the bold use of technology. I think that is something that we need to just get comfortable with and keep moving on. I liked the depth and the range of the topics that were put together, so commendations to the conference organizers. And now, of course, we will hear, as we close, what are the next steps. I think Professor Yona did say we should move beyond the discussions that we have here into actual practice. And so going beyond the conference, I hope the rector is going to inform us that. So those are my takeaways, and before I invite the rector to come and close, I'd like to invite Dr. Asia Lubega, who is going to give us a vote of thanks. She is a senior lecturer at the University of Dodoma. Karibu sana daktari.
Good afternoon, if not evening. Yeah, dear participants, thank you all for your energy and engagement today. We have very powerful ideas, lived experiences, and some practical experiences on how empowerment isn't just an idea, it is an action. From strengthening individuals to transforming whole communities. Pathway to sustainable well-being are built together. That means we need to join hands together through equity, participation, and resilience. Let us now keep this conversation going beyond this room here. The way it continues, and each of us is part of this conference. But a special request to the organizer, before I thank you, we need at least 2 days. 1 day is not enough for this kind of best conference I have seen. So now, thank you to our keynote speakers, presenters, participants, and organizers for this wonderful conference. We thank you all and have a nice evening and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. And I want to just echo, I think 1 day is really not enough. There's a lot of conversation going, but without further ado, I invite Dr. Joyce Nyoni, the Rector of the Institute of Social Work. Please give her a round of applause as she comes to the podium. Amazing job. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Today has been a very, very long day. And some of us were here since 7 in the morning. But I'm very glad to see that the room is still packed. You're still here. And I believe that despite the fact that it has been a very long day, it has been a day well spent. I agree with Dr. Flora, but also
that we were supposed to have maybe a 3-day conference. There was a lot of duplication, and I promise you next time when we organize the conference, maybe not this year, maybe next year, I'll be able to organize again a conference. Then we'll have it in 3 days, 2 to 3 days, so that at least we can get time to discuss, because people have worked, they are sharing the findings, we have to engage with the findings, and at the end of the day, come out with some conclusion of what we want next. But as you have seen, we were not able to do that. And I remember going upstairs in that particular session, where it was 10 minutes. What the kind of your study, what were the findings, and off you go. So, my apologies to the presenters, because I know it takes quite a lot of energy to prepare a presentation, and you are excited to share your findings, and then you only have a little time to say the main findings and the communications. You don't get questions, you don't engage based on your findings. So our apologies, this is the first time. That's why it's the first international conference, and we learn based on experience. So going forward, I promise we work on that. I am very glad and happy. One, thanks to our keynote speakers. You have done a wonderful job. You have gave us so much information. Again, there were a lot of questions that we wanted to ask, but unfortunately, time was not in our favor. But we really thank you for the work that you have done. Those of you who traveled physically to Tanzania for just a one-day conference, that is quite a bold decision to make. We thank you very much. And for those who participated online also, our keynote speakers, we thank you all. But also, I extend my appreciation on behalf of the Institute to presenters. We organized the conference. It was, for some it was a short notice, but people really strived to make sure that they submit their abstracts, but also worked on a full paper for the presentation. And as we had earlier promised, that we shall have a special edition based on the presentations that we have submitted, the papers that we have submitted. So we peer review the papers, that's normal in an academic space. We need to do a peer review, we'll send back papers with comments. Please work on them so that we can have the special edition as early as possible. It won't make sense that we do the conference now and have a special edition next year. We're trying to make sure that it happens within this calendar year, not financial year, calendar year. Because for some of us, we say, a year in advance, okay, now it's June, no. Within this calendar year. I believe that when we live today, we are living with a lot of knowledge, but also we're living with a lot of questions. But also, I believe that you have added at least one number to your mobile phone. One, that you have engaged with somebody, you have exchanged numbers, and the network that you have established here will go beyond this particular conference. Please don't leave if you don't have a number. You haven't shared your number. Look for somebody so that you can share numbers, have a conversation. That is the essence of a conference. In addition to the presentations that you do, the knowledge, but we also need to establish networks, form teams. That time while you don't, and we met today, we're supposed to link up and see how we can establish research teams within our country, but also outside of Tanzania.
Having said that, I think I don't have much to say in the sense that I should not forget the organizing committee. This has been a wonderful committee. And I think all of you agree with me. It has been one super organizing committee. They had a lot of energy. And at times I was like, you people slow down a little bit. But they had energy. And we thank you very much. Dr. Kalumanga, thank you very much for the work that you put in the effort. Because he has a lot of energy we have to work on. Thank you very much, and also the team. So with that same energy, please, with that same energy, let us fulfill our promise. We promise to have a special edition. Let us make it a reality, so that we can at least share what transpired in this room. With these few remarks, I would also like to thank Dr. Flora. Dr. Flora, you did a wonderful job. Thank you very much. Dr. Flora is my colleague. We were together at COSTECH, and she was an iron lady. She hasn't changed much. She's still the same iron lady, a very strong lady. So thank you very much, Daktari, Nashukuru, for the work that you have done today. But also to the participants, as I said earlier in the morning, you are the conference. If you are missing in this room, then you would have been me and Dr. Kalman, maybe in my management team. But you are here now, you are the conference. Thank you very much. Professor Rasta has traveled all the way from Kilimanjaro or Rombo. Professor Rasta has traveled all the way from Rombo to be here. Asante sana, and I believe if there were any shortfalls, just bear with us. It's a learning experience. We promise you the next round we have an improved version of this first conference. Asante sana. Then the conference comes to an end. Is that what I'm supposed to say? All right, hand it over to Dr. Kalumanga. Sorry, Dr. Kalumanga is informing me that for all the presenters, we have awarded you a certificate. So please pass by there to collect your certificate. You have done a wonderful job. The certificates are there, so you can pass by. But for also staff from the Institute of Social Work, there's transport outside waiting for you. So even if you're a presenter, collect your certificate and the transport is there waiting for you back home. I wish everybody a safe travel back home. And Professor Blanca, I believe you'll be going to Zanzibar, at least for 1-2 days. At least do some tourism, don't go back home immediately. Okay, karibuni sana, asante. Thank you very much.
Fine. Sasa ndio unataka kufunga vitu bana.
Sisi tunakuwa wa mwisho.
Lazima mwe wa mwisho. Wanaweza akasema wamesahau kitu bwana.
Wa kwanza kuingia, wa mwisho kuondoka. This is